What is up? What is up? What is up? Get in here. Get in here. Today was the craziest day. Let me tell y'all how this shit never stops. This is never ending. So here we got another Weak Weasel to end out Weak Weasel Wednesday. We cannot make this stuff up. We cannot. Get to it. First of all, let's start here. This morning, I go into a group that I'm routinely in, right? And I see a post. The post says, "Hey everyone, does this group get together or attend events? I'd like a contact to invite to visit the only remaining slave quarters in Austin." This post was made in the historic Black Austin, right? She would like a contact to invite the people of this group, if they get together, to visit the only remaining slave quarters in Austin. Immediately took me by surprise because the word only messed me up because I've hopped several fences. I've walked through lots of wooded areas to find more than one black cemetery that is unmarked or slave quarters or things of the such. So my interest was piqued and I asked the question, where at? If you don't mind me asking, and is this for like in celebration of a thing? Because you have to ask these people these kind of questions because they just be throwing shit out there. This is always where shit gets real for them. Because I ask these questions and they don't ever have appropriate answers. But I and my people roll with receipts. We keep the receipts. Let's look at this. I said, is this a thing? Maybe McKinney Falls State Park is where this might be? Hmm. Let's take a look at that. Shall we? Okay. Open up everything right here. Let's take a look at what it says about McKinney Falls. Friends of McKinney Falls State Park. During the Texas Revolution, the McKinney-Williams firm was the primary source of men, money, and supplies for the Texas Army. It financed over 150,000, more than 10% of the total cost of the Revolution. The McKinney-Williams ships formed a part of the quick-assembled Texas Navy. Voters elected McKinney as a senator to the first legislature in Austin. During this time, he made plans. Where was it? Okay. All right. Get in here. Get in here. We back at it as we approach March 4th, 2022, 1 year later. I have to fill you guys in. I had a little intermission. My honey came home and he had got himself a delivery for his T-shirt. So shout out to that. Get that. Reclaim your thing. Power to the people shirt. Let me stop playing with y'all. I play too much. Back to what it is. Where we left off was we wanted to know, we wanted to see what was happening over at McKinney Falls State Park, right? And let's get this McKinney Falls open. All right, here we go. So between 1850 and 1852, right, after McKinney was elected as a senator to the first legislature in Austin, during this time, he made plans for his new home on Onion Creek. Between 1850 and 1852, McKinney built a two-story limestone home. Now, let's stop right there. Between 1850 and 1852, McKinney in no way, shape, or form built a two-story limestone home, grist mill, and a dam on his ranch. We know full well that this as it states here, was developed by McKinney slaves. His ranch continued to grow in number of structures, livestock, and other assets. He owned and bred a number of thoroughbred racehorses and even had his own racetrack somewhere on the ridge. So we're going to also dive into the character of McKinney. But let's not lose focus from why we're here. There was a question asked, right, related to us visiting the last slave quarters here in Austin. We was like, where at? Can't be McKinney State Falls. Maybe at McKinney Falls State Park. Can't be at McKinney Falls State Park because we've been out there and we talked about this thoroughly last year. Right? Here's the reply. You're right. They took down the slave quarters and don't have the signage up about the plantation yet. That's all that I can say. What do you mean? McKinney's and Unionist leanings do not seem to have stemmed from any humanitarian interest. McKinney was a slaveholder and a slave dealer in the sense that his bank used slaves as collateral. So he was slave flipping. All right, y'all, come on. So we're trying to find out, are they talking about the slave quarters at McKinney Falls? Gotta be. Nope. Slave quarters at the Neil Cochran House Museum. Now this messed me up. This will mess me up because I myself hadn't heard of the Neil Cochran Museum, nor had I ever been there. So I immediately followed the link. Thank you for that Cash App. Shout out to the people. Don't forget to Cash App your girl, _FarmerNancy, on Cash App and Venmo. Venmo is an @FarmerNancy. Also, feel free to subscribe and join our Patreon because this right here, I cannot be giving y'all this for free. I'm sorry, because these are briefing papers. Y'all about to get these daily briefs from your girl. They might not be daily because I'm just getting started. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to keep it 100 with y'all. Subscribe because it's going to be worth it. Because we're going to go through the content. Okay? We're going to go through the content. Now, the nchmuseum.org, Neil Cochran House Museum. What's that? Let's go take us a look here. Let us look. Neil. Oh, look at that. Weddings. Not at the Neil Cochran House Museum. Okay. The Neil Cochran House Museum is a historic home in north central Austin. Master builder Abner Cook designed and built the house in 1855 as a suburban estate many years before the surrounding area was settled by other homes and businesses. Okay, well, I wanna follow the link that I was given. Let me see if we can follow the link. Yeah, we went back to let's go find the link. Tap. The reason I do this, y'all, is because sometimes these people realize they fuck up and delete this shit. So we over here thinking this got to be the slave quarters. It got to be the slave quarters at McKinney's because it says in these documents here that his bank used slaves as collateral. We also know that he had slaves that built his home. So where did they live at? So this is a state park, McKinney Falls State Park, We're not going to lose focus, y'all. I promise I got y'all. I promise I got y'all. McKinney Falls State Park. Okay, this is a Texas Park and Wildlife Department state park. Okay, look at this shit. I've been here. Okay, wait for the video. Wait for it. This the park. Okay, so we got the park. We got everything we need. We ready. Want to do that? Let's follow the link. Okay, so I asked where at. I didn't even get a hey, how you doing? Here's the information you asked for. I just got a link. So here's the link. We are open. We can't wait to see you. Reckoning with the past, the untold story of race in Austin. Okay. This is the slave quarters. Okay. This is the slave quarters. Now, here in plantation history, it's documented in several documents, old slaveholder papers and the whatnot, that the slave quarters were typically 100 feet away from the main house. Now, if you got a slave quarters, you got to have a plantation, right? So that means that this slave quarters I'm looking at in this picture right here, y'all, is on a plantation. Let's not get this shit confused. Let's not get this confused. That's the main house, y'all. We don't even got it. We can go to the website. We're not going to forget. Look at this. People get married here. Right? It says Neil Cochran House. Why not Neil Cochran Plantation? It's a museum. It's a white people's museum that shares a slaveholder's history and doesn't call itself a plantation. Yet, this black woman is asking me if I wanted to visit the slave quarters on the property that's not recognized as a plantation. Why in the hell would I do that? Let's keep going. Thomas McKinney. There is now a dwelling house, several Negro cabins on the place. The dwelling house, okay, these are Negro cabins. Ain't that a slave quarters? So we're establishing that the Neil Cochran House slave quarters is not the only slave quarters here in Austin. Bam. Pow. That's been established. It's definitely still slave quarters at McKinney Falls. How does this keep getting overlooked? I mean, even the cemetery. In theory, the Peace Plantation and school were also slave quarters. So here we are dropping receipts to show that this is not the only slave quarters here in Austin. Emily, Sam, Tom, Dan, and Dave, the slaves who accompanied the Peace family, performed numerous ever-changing tasks. Soon after their arrival in the capital city, Lucadia wrote to her sisters that we have all our Negroes here and nothing for them to do, excepting Emily, the cook and the children's nurse, and Big Sam, who worked in the garden. Faced with the common predicament of having an excess of hands, they had too many niggas. Sorry. They had an excess of hands at times, but a shortage in other cases. Pease hired out his slaves. That means he hired them out. That means he you know, was out here slave flipping, tossing, recalling them periodically to help with special tasks such as moving into and cleaning the governor's mansion. The talents of each slave complemented the others. When Emily became ill in the summer of 1856, Dan served as cook, performing well enough as to elicit no complaint from his master. After Pease moved to the outskirts of Austin, the family slaves engaged in labor with a partly rural flavor. They built a fence, plowed and grubbed the garden, and hauled wood, selling that which exceeded the household needs. Dave and Dan, they was lumberjacks. Dave and Dan, when not hiring out, also did the marketing, picked up the mail, and ran special errands which demanded trustworthy qualities. For example, in January 1857, Dan journeyed to Richmond, Texas, with money and horses to transport the new family carriage to Austin. So they had to have lived there. I mean, what? Let's stop. Okay, let's continue. More receipts. Slave quarters, slave cemetery. This is the part that threw me for a loop. She asks, thank you. Where is this? Let us identify this person. This person is a member of the Black Leaders Collective. Not only is she a member, but she's the moderator. Not only is she a member, but she's the moderator, right? So we just had a conversation about how the Black Leaders Collective operates. Okay? All right. Thank you. Where is this? Receipts. It's in Austin. So I was confused. Are you asking where is McKinney Falls? Because that's thrown off if you don't know what McKinney Falls is. Or are you asking where can you find this documentation? It's simple. Very, very simple. On page 159, what are you talking about? Where can you find this information? This can be found on page 159 of the McEachern and Ralph. McEachern and Ralph, TP&W Excavations, page 159. We can look it up. But we want to stay on task. Receipts. I don't know who's hosting this event at the Cochran house, but the Cochran house slave quarters is not the only remaining slave quarters that are standing in Travis County. If the person who is doing a presentation on the subject is not from here, he probably isn't aware of that. Y'all see this shit? It's always a problem. Pease Mansion, McKinney, all of these slave quarters are in Austin city limits. So I'm not sure why the Cochran House would be a priority when they have had funding and are not diverse in their program. So here we are. Here go the Black Leaders Collective pulling a money grab. Here's a money grab. It's a money grab. Also, if this is the slave quarter, shouldn't the main house museum be renamed as the Neil Cochran Plantation? It's also a wedding venue. Like, this shit don't make no sense to me. Like, come on, we dropping receipts. All these slave quarters. It's too many slave quarters out here. This person came into this group with social media marketing, playing on people's emotions during Black History Month to push us going to visit some slave quarters because the white people cannot get people to their white attraction outside of weddings. Come on, man. Y'all numbers are low. I don't find anything interesting about this. One, it's being presented by someone who isn't from here. Two, it's not the only standing slave quarters. I've jumped fences to see better. Three, there's only funding now that the white people cannot feel their attraction. Now we have to be invested in acknowledging the slave quarters and start taking field trips here. If there's slave quarters, there's a plantation there. People get married there. This is such a money move. You're using our emotions from this group to push a white person's project to collect what data for the 500K grant you got? Come on, y'all. Here we go. Exposing the weak weasels. I don't think the man that is presenting knows Austin's true history. Surely he wouldn't co-sign on this. So, come on. They funding a wedding venue. Here it is, y'all. I'm over these psychological games. It's misguiding to state that this is the last standing slave quarters here in Austin to grab our emotions and promote a whitewashed space that clearly the city of Austin doesn't want to acknowledge as a plantation. But we're talking about heritage and accuracy. I'm tired of doing all this work while watching these people play pretend that they care about black people. It's about the dollars they get and spend around in their disingenuous groups. Invite me to a slave quarters on a plantation that's not acknowledged as a plantation in downtown Austin. All of a sudden, it's a sight to be seen. Nah, this is made up fluff for funds. Period. Crickets. Where is she at? We got crickets. Crickets. No, nothing. Nobody is saying nothing. Nobody is saying anything. A plantation-less slave quarters. The people get married in. I bet the interpretive planner will be a white man. All the artists behind this are white. The historical application on the Cochrane house refers to this as a carriage house. So someone is lying to get some funding, or they need to readdress their application and officially rename it as a plantation. Period. Near Cochrane house, south elevation of carriage house. Carriage house. So, y'all, what we've done right now is establish that this whole project, this whole thing is a money grab. What is this project? Let's go back and look at this. This entire project revolves around, why does this place matter? This place didn't matter last year. It didn't matter the year before that, nor did it matter the year before that. But this year, it matters. It matters. Why does it matter? Because over a 12-month period through April 2023, the Neil Cochran House Museum will reintroduce. They're reintroducing us niggas to the slave quarters, my nigga. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. It's going to be reintroduced to the public through interpretation, restoration, and new programming for a total project cost of $500,000. These niggas just pimped the city for $500,000 to get niggas to go visit a slave quarters downtown in Austin that ain't nobody know was there, or that nobody visits. Nobody is even visiting the museum because it's the master's house. It's master's house where they have weddings. But we supposed to all of a sudden put our names on the sign-in sheet so they can collect our dollars to say they pulled this shit off? On April 23rd to the 24th, the museum will welcome Joe McGill of the Slave Dwelling Project to Austin. Mr. McGill raises attention to slave dwellings around the U.S. by overnighting in the structures Come on, man. This is some publicity stunt shit. This shit is crazy. Why do they do these things? Does anybody know why? Tell me why. I want to know. Why do they do these things? Come on, y'all. We gonna bring in this man. We gonna bring in this stranger that's not even from here to overnight in a slave quarters that ain't nobody been talking about on a plantation that the city don't want to call a plantation. But we gonna do this whole fucking interpretive act, this performance theater for what? Educational project funding around heritage, community, and history. They tried it in 2020. The white people, the Neil Cochran House Museum presents an opportunity to experience awesome Black history like you never have before. How the white people gonna tell us how the fuck to experience awesome Black history? This is why all of a sudden the Black Leaders Collective is trying to pimp us out in order for the white people to get the funds that they need so that the Neil Cochran House Museum won't be a failure. Fuck that slave quarters. They ain't been so much concerned. Stop playing with us. I don't like it here. Come on, y'all. Look at this. Look at these people. Neil Cochran House Museum. Not the plantation. Not the plantation, but the museum. This don't talk about the slave quarters. Sisters making history. What? Oh my God. What? This can't be real. Yeah. Look at this. Of course. All about, look, they did a huge push. Nobody attended. Nobody was going. Nobody was supporting it. They wasn't getting no traction. They got no traction. Look, they pushed this all Black History Month. Black History Month 2020, 2021. So now what we're left with here is a whole bunch of bullshit. It's crickets. And no acknowledgement of the fact that yet again, here come these people for the money grab. They're willing to misinform us. They're willing to continue to go along with the erasure of appropriate history, with the lack of acknowledgement of our appropriate history just for $1. They're willing to let a man that's not from Austin, Texas, don't know nothing about the history of Austin, Texas, come sit here and perpetrate for his theater performance of sitting up in the slave quarters overnight. Why ain't they going to visit the slave quarters at McKinney? At Peace? Anywhere else? I'm sick and tired of it, y'all. With that being said, it is what it is. Make sure y'all go check me out on the channel. I will be posting a new videos. We did post Weak Weasel Wednesdays, Austin Black Embassy Exposed Part 1. I'll be posting this one tonight. I'm going to get it edited. Weak Weasel Wednesdays Part 2. This is weak shit. This is weak weasel behavior. You're misguiding the community to benefit off their emotional reactions if we didn't know better, we would just jump up and say, yeah, let's go visit the slave quarters, not knowing we're being used as a data set so that the white people can save the museum, not the plantation. There's no historical markers there that designate the slave quarters as such, because you know what you would have to do? You would have to designate the home as a plantation. Well, that's all I got for y'all tonight. I'm out this piece. Yeah, y'all know how the gangsters do.